The vast majority is anti-West, and they'll live next to you if you're still unfortunate enough to live in their neighborhoods. In another study by ComRes, 27% of the 1,000 Muslims polled said they had some sympathy for the motives behind the Paris attacks in response to Charlie Hebdo publishing cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad. 11% feel sympathy for people who want to fight against Western interests. Check out this British Pakistani millionaire who has donated hundreds of thousands of pounds to the Reform Party. Is he a brown white supremacist too? Your future generations will never forgive you. They will ask you, where were you when these people were imposing their values on secular democratic countries? And you would say, oh, sorry, daughter, I was busy being woke and calling everyone a far-right white supremacist. Less than 3 weeks ago, an Afghan Islamist attacked a free speech activist in Mannheim, Germany, and ended up killing a police officer who, instead of going after the Islamist, went after a bystander who was trying to restrain the Islamist. Unfortunately, the poorly trained police officer ended up getting stabbed in the neck and died a few days later. My heart goes out to the poor police officer and his family who paid the ultimate price for being poorly trained by woke trainers. I'm not going to show you many videos because my videos just get demonetized, and more importantly, their reach is severely hampered if a video is demonetized. Last week, my Marine Le Pen video hit 1 million views within 24 hours, but then someone at YouTube reduced it to 18 plus, and it suddenly died. So take a load of this. 1 million views in 24 hours? It gets age restricted, and a week later, it is still at 1 million views. So I need the support of ordinary people like yourself. If you can afford it, try becoming a patron or buy me a coffee. Links in the description and down on your screens. If you can't afford it, then that's fine. In that case, like and share the video so all the effort I put in can be rewarded by maximum number of people watching it. I also have a vested interest in this. The radicals not only want to overthrow Western democracies and replace them with Sharia, they also want to come after people like me too. So our fortunes are tied together. Anyway, let's get back to the video. So Germany was shocked and was still reeling from this senseless attack when last week another 27-year-old Afghan migrant randomly stabbed people, including a 75-year-old German man and a 50-year-old German woman, both watching a football match between Germany and Scotland. We hear Western politicians always talking about the so-called hooligans, but now they have imported millions of people from foreign cultures who don't share your values, and as a result, you can expect to get stabbed while watching a football game. This time, the police shot and killed the Islamist. You would think that Germany and the West in general would say, enough is enough. Instead, they're still scratching their heads and trying to make sense of this behavior of people coming from backward countries. Countries that haven't quite caught up with modern times. What's there to understand? These radical people clearly say that they're going to install Sharia and kill blasphemers.
This is a part of our religion. There's a reason to it. Yeah, there's a reason why there's a capital punishment. Because people like you, little weaklings who leave their religion and cause corruption in the land by spreading it, the capital punishment in Islamic law would be applied to you. We have no doubt, and we're proud of that. Yeah. Capital punish will be applied in an Islamic state.
You can no longer say that these people are a tiny minority. We have surveys after surveys that show how popular this notion of killing blasphemers and apostates is in Muslim populations. For example, according to the survey by the opinion research institute IFop, 40% of the French Muslims surveyed stated that they put their religious convictions above the values of the Republic in Europe, such as freedom of expression and conscience. Among younger Muslims under the age of 25, it goes up to 74% who believe that their religion is above public law, meaning the younger Muslim population is even more radical than their older counterparts. 69% of Muslims rate the reprint of the Muhammad cartoons as unnecessary provocation. Only 19% of them believe that blasphemous caricatures contribute to freedom of expression. In other words, it's a tiny minority that stands with European or Western values. The vast majority is anti-West, and they'll live next to you if you're still unfortunate enough to live in their neighborhoods. I understand that the West is civilized and they want to treat everyone equally, but at what point people will recognize the danger that they're in?
Britain is Darul Haram because they are, anathema to God's law. They're not implementing it, they're violating His sanctity, and therefore this is war against Allah and His Messenger. We are obliged as Muslims to take the authority away from the people who have it and implement the Sharia. Now I hope that can come in a very peaceful way. I hope that we can do that in a way, where there's no bloodshed.
If these people succeed in achieving that they have publicly stated, then we will no longer have secularism or democracy to be nice to anyone.
Reason why you have to fight them is because they are Jews and Christians. You should fight those empires around you, or those hukumat around you, which are Jew or Christian, until they give the jizya. That's fine. That we already know Islam allows. And then the howness of that is in the hadith. The three options that they're given: either you give the jizya, or you do this, or you do that. Yeah, we're not apologetic about that point. That is true. Your religion has to have an expansionist element. So then, therefore, there is no situation or conceivability of peace being made between Muslims and non-Muslims.
Islam is a warrior religion in many ways, and it's unapologetically so. It's about expansion, it's about conquest.
Let's go to British Muslims. According to a survey by Channel 4, 32% refuse to condemn those who take part in violence against those who mock the Prophet. Additionally, about 18% of British Muslims expressed some level of sympathy for violence against those who insult Islam. So if you get killed tomorrow, 32% of British Muslims will be like, he deserved it. It's a totally different set of values. We see the world differently. I often say that the West is too civilized for its own good. In another study by ComRes, 27% of the 1,000 Muslims polled said they had some sympathy for the motives behind the Paris attacks in response to Charlie Hebdo publishing cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad. 11% feel sympathy for people who want to fight against Western interests. That's why when Putin invaded Ukraine, Muslims had no interest in that conflict. But because the West opposed Putin for the invasion, I know some of the most liberal Muslims who started singing songs about Putin just because Putin is anti-West. Almost 80% said they had found it deeply offensive when images depicting the Prophet were published. Look, it's okay to be offended, but this is not Western style offense where people just say, oh, I'm offended and move on with their daily lives. A lot of these 80% say, I'm offended and I'm gonna get you, or at least I'll have sympathy with the person who does get you. A new report published in April 2024 by the Commission for Countering Extremism in the UK warns that UK anti-blasphemy activism is becoming increasingly radicalized and organized, with some charities involved. These charities, listed as such, receive tax cuts and grants funded by UK taxpayers. The report links prominent UK voices to violent extremists in Pakistan and highlights incidents like the Batley teacher hiding, the Lady of Heaven film protests,
and let me tell you, my brothers and sisters, this is just a stepping stone towards showing and demonstrating our love. We are saying very clearly to the Dajjal sitting behind these walls that we cannot and we will not, till the last breath of our lives, compromise the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
and threats in Wakefield. Remember the autistic kid who accidentally scuffed up a copy of the Quran in Wakefield? And the mob got angry and the police officer apologized. The police officer basically bent over backwards to accommodate this angry mob. Check out this video.
And Chief Inspector Andy Thornton has also confirmed that they will continue to work with the masajid, the mosques in Wakefield, myself, to better these situations coming in the future. But we don't let this go. We don't just say, it doesn't matter, it's nothing. No, the reason why we've arranged all this, the reason why I traveled early hours in the morning this morning to attend this meeting is because the Quran is more important to us than our lives.
This report actually played a crucial role in the new definition of extremism introduced by Rishi Sunak earlier this year. I made a video on this, check it out, link in the description. And guess what? Our next Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Keir Starmer, is probably going to get rid of that definition. I said probably because the Muslim vote put forward 18 demands to Keir Starmer, and one of the demands was to get rid of that new extremism definition so your tax pounds can go to these charities that facilitate the anti-blasphemy activism in the UK. My head is exploding. And why do I speak about this migrant crisis with just as much passion, if not more, than when I speak about the spread of radical Islam in the West? Because millions of people have come into Europe and America from Islamic countries. They have a different set of values. If you don't want to judge them, fine, because you're so polite and civilized and tolerant, fine. But you have to understand that they have a different set of values. They look at women differently. They look at religion differently. They look at the world around us differently. Just a couple of days ago, a Pakistani man who went to the northern regions of Pakistan called Swat for tourism and was burned alive by a mob of hundreds, if not 1,000 at least. Not just by one lone wolf, but by hundreds of people for allegedly burning the Quran. I can't show you the video because it's too graphic, but you can see it on X if you want to. Most likely, he didn't say anything because in a Muslim country, or in Pakistan, for example, you can be killed if you have committed blasphemy in someone's dream. You must be thinking, oh, Harris, come on, you're exaggerating. No, check this out. In March 2022, a female teacher was killed by her fellow colleague and her two nieces because the teacher had appeared in the dream of one of the women and committed blasphemy. So in other words, if you commit blasphemy in someone's dream, you're dead. These are not isolated incidents. The frequency of people getting killed by mobs of hundreds is now happening almost every month. Just a couple of days ago, another Nigerian man was killed by his fellow Muslims for blasphemy. There are so many incidents taking place that I can't even keep track of it. Check out the blasphemy playlist on my channel to see hundreds of videos on this topic, especially this video. I'll include the link in the description. And Keir Starmer and Joe Biden are bringing these people into your neighborhoods in their millions. So don't act surprised when you see a random Afghan stab a police officer in Mineham, or you see a random Islamist walking around with a machete in the streets of London. I've been warning you for years, but instead of doing something about it, our politicians say, oh, these people are innocent. They probably are in many things, but these are not asylum seekers. They are economic migrants who bring their own set of values, and one of those values is Islam first, no tolerance for blasphemy. Wokistanis call everyone who speaks up to preserve Western secular democratic values a white supremacist. They try to shame people like me by saying, oh, you're turning your back on people like yourself because you are also an immigrant. This is such a terrible way of thinking. It's like saying that since I'm a car driver, I must support every car driver. What if the other car driver is a drunk driver who risks the lives of many innocents? Would you still support him because he's your fellow car driver? Of course not. So why should I, being an immigrant, support illegal migrants just because we both share relocating to a foreign country? Like many woke arguments, this is another stupid argument, and let me tell you that it doesn't fly. And I'm not alone. Check out this British Pakistani millionaire who has donated hundreds of thousands of pounds to the Reform Party. In fact, he's the single biggest donor of Reform. Is he a brown white supremacist too? No, he's a patriot. He loves the country he's in and he wants to protect its values. Check out a little snippet of his interview with GB News.
You know, this idea that when we talk about British values, only a certain race can subscribe to those values, I think is totally incorrect, and proof that that's not the case.
Now, lastly, you'll hear a lot of Muslims say that Islam forbids extrajudicial killings of blasphemers. They wouldn't say that Islam forbids the killings of blasphemers, period, because that's just not true. But yes, even the classical scholars of Islam forbade extrajudicial killings of blasphemers because they knew that no society can run like this. But the creator of Islam, the most merciful man on earth, Prophet Muhammad, actually condoned extrajudicial killings of blasphemers. Check out this primary source called Hadith, a Sahih Hadith. Sahih means it's deemed an authentic source, where a Muslim man killed his slave woman who used to cuss out Prophet Muhammad. According to the latter scholars, this should not have been allowed, and the person who killed his slave woman should have been executed for murdering an innocent woman. But guess what? The merciful Prophet said, and let me quote, "I bear witness that her blood is permissible." Sunan Nasai 4070 and Sunan Abi Dawud 4361. The Prophet Muhammad allowed extrajudicial killings of blasphemers. This is the reason why, despite various governments punishing these blasphemy killers, these attacks on blasphemers are becoming more and more frequent. In a country like Pakistan, blasphemy killers are adored and celebrated by, wait a second, not by thousands, not by hundreds, but by millions. Check out the funeral of this guy, Mumtaz Qadri, who killed his own boss, a Pakistani politician, the governor of Punjab at the time, Sultan Taseer, not because he committed blasphemy, but because he spoke in favor of a Christian woman, Asia Bibi, who was accused of blasphemy. 1 million plus people turned up at his funeral. How many of these people are coming by boats? Do you want to take that chance? This is an invasion, and our politicians are busy telling us that we need to be worried about white supremacy. Check out this bar chart where people belonging to different ideologies have killed people in Western Europe, the US, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand in the last 24 years. Look at the tower on the left. Nearly 10,000 Westerners have been killed by Islamists and only a few hundred by white supremacists. A big chunk of that comes from that crazy lunatic who killed 51 innocent Muslims in Christchurch in 2019 and by Anders Behring Breivik, who killed 77 people in Norway in 2011. Other than that, there's not much. The same can't be said about radical Islamists. Islamists take the lion's share when it comes to killing for their ideology. And these people, in their millions, are coming to your neighborhoods. It's almost criminal for you to look the other way. Your future generations will never forgive you. They will ask you, where were you when these people were imposing their values on secular democratic countries? And you would say, oh, sorry, daughter, I was busy being woke and calling everyone a far-right white supremacist. Do you want to be that person? Most of my videos get demonetized and consequently get their reach reduced. I want to be able to speak my mind freely, but for that, I will need your support. So consider becoming a patron by going to patreon.com/HarrisSultan or buy me a coffee on buymeacoffee.com/HarrisSultan. Until next time, ta-da. If you'd like to support my work, you can become my patron by going to patreon.com/HarrisSultan or you can simply buy me a coffee.